What's up, guys? Eating Dubs Fantasy Sports. Today's video, I'm going to talk about trade targets. So every week, I'm pretty sure you guys see these videos on potential trade targets, players that are buy low candidates, sell high candidates. I love these videos. These videos are great. They tend to direct people or funnel people and tell them exactly who they want to be targeting. But obviously, that doesn't always work. I mean, it's super specific on your league. For the most part, my strategy is target people who are losing or scratching and clawing to try to get in the playoffs. Trade rape the fuck out of them. Take their best players. Give them as much garbage or shit that you have. Players that are super inconsistent. I mean, in fantasy football, it's all about risk mitigation and just trying to get the most points on average out of your players. So I tend to stay away from boom or bust players when I can. Guys that safer floors are what I like to do. Of course, a nice mix of high ceiling and safe floor players are how I like to proceed. But anyway, let's jump into it really quick. Some trade targets. I think it's better to teach a man how to fish than to just give him a fish. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I go about it. So this is my main league with my friends from college. It's pretty competitive. It's like $100 buy-in. We're all homies. We all talk shit. We banter. I'm going to use that as kind of the example. I'm doing pretty well in this league. 7-3, first place. It's pretty tight. Like 1 through 9 is separated by 2 games, pretty much. I could be out of it just as easily as I can remain first place. So to show you guys my team, I drafted pretty luckily, to be honest. Lamar, Dalvin, Marquise Brown, Deebo Samuel, Deontay Johnson, CEH. So I used to have Alvin Kamara. I traded Kamara and Hawkinson for Dalvin and Renfro. So the dude who had Dalvin and Renfro was he was like 3-6 at the time or something. Desperate. Gave him Kamara. He thought there's a lot of upside. Dalvin hasn't really produced for him all season. So I gave him Kamara after I had already taken advantage and, got a lot of Kamara's good weeks. The very next week, Kamara got injured. So that paid off for me. Renfro, I traded him right after the Ruggs news because I had aspirations for Renfro after that. I thought Renfro could produce a lot, and it worked out. But anyway, that's too specific on my team. I'll just get into the trade advice. So, who do you want to trade with? Now, these dudes at 3 and 7 are all technically still in it, but most likely they've rage quit. One of my league mates, Spencer, actually refuses to trade with anyone because he's a salty little nice man. And I hope he watches this, and fuck you, Spencer. So yeah, what you want to do is you want to basically trade with the guys that are clawing to get into the playoffs. So for my league, that includes number 9 through 6. So these are the dudes who, in my opinion, are potential trade targets or trade candidates. And you want to trade players that are inconsistent, like I said, for players that are more consistent and have good playoff schedules going forward. So just to give you an example, I'm going to go to this dude's team. This is the guy I traded Kamara to. So DeAndre Hopkins has not been producing. That would be a trade target for me. I would try to give up somebody who's been popping off but is a little more inconsistent for him. Now, DeAndre Hopkins has a lot of trade capital, so I don't know if he's going to be willing to part ways with Hopkins for anything less than like a second round value or perceived second round value. So always try to get the better player out of every trade, obviously. So if you can package, like this dude seems like he lacks running back depth. So package like an RB2 plus like a wide receiver 3 for like Hopkins and Hines or someone that you could just throw at the end of your bench just in case. If Jonathan Taylor gets injured, Hines becomes a potential league winner. Maybe if the Colts are smart and use him appropriately, I think he could get into that category. To move it along, actually, to go back to this dude's team, he also has Damian Harris sitting on his bench. To me, that's a good buy low candidate because he just came off a concussion. He might be like, you know what? Ramondre Stevens popped last week. I don't want to risk. Like, this dude can't make any risks. He has to start players that are going to 100, like the highest percent chance that they produce next week. So Damian Harris might be a sit for him. It looks like he's not going to be starting him this week, so that'd be someone I'd be targeting. You can get super deep into the weeds and look at like playoff schedules. I like to do that. I like to look at who these players might be playing at the end of the season. Indy, Buffalo, Jacks. Now you have the best defense sandwiched by two very, one complete dog shit defense, and then Indianapolis are, to me, they're volatile. Now I'm a Colts fan, and the Colts defense can randomly show up, stop the run. We've obviously Darius Leonard, one of the best linebacker I think in the NFL, in my opinion, in my biased opinion. Look at some playoff schedules. Look at who has favorable matchups. Look at the teams that are still going to be clawing to get into the playoffs, especially when it comes to running backs. I like getting running backs who are on teams that are not locked into the playoffs and not eliminated from the playoffs. Go for teams where, as you know, December and November, late November roll around, winter or the weather gets cold. They're going to be trying to run the ball. They're still in contention. Clock management's a huge part of a lot of teams' game plans. Get those running backs. Try to trade for them. Moving along, this dude, he doesn't really have anyone that I like, to be honest. DK Metcalf. Just go for 2-for-1s. That's the overall advice. Try to trade two. Like, if you're trying to get a wide receiver 1, trade a wide receiver 2 and a running back 3. Or a wide receiver 2 and a running back 2, depending on how deep you are each of those positions. Try to move up by trading volume of players for quality of players is what I always like to do. And if you're a team that's in the shitter, so if you're in the gutter and you're trying to make plays, you want to fill out your starting lineup with players, obviously. So you want to trade away studs and get depth. I know that's difficult. That's a hard proposition. Like this dude, Jared, if he were smart, or not if he were smart, in my opinion, I would trade Kamara to one of the top 3 or 4 teams. Trade Kamara for like a running back 2 and a wide receiver 2. And I know that's shitty. Or like a low-end RB1 and a wide receiver 2. I would be shopping Kamara to this dude for like Jacobs and Jefferson. I think he would pull the trigger on that. I know that's rough. Or Chase and Jacobs. Like, try to get, like, in my opinion, a guy like Jacobs is the perfect target for Kamara because Jacobs can replace Kamara's value maybe by 50%, 60%. And then if you're sliding in a wide receiver 1 who's going to produce for you every week, like, you cannot complain. If I'm the Jacobs and Jefferson owner, I take that trade. Who knows how much he loves Jefferson, but anyway, moving along. Yeah, that's my trade advice. It's super subjective. These YouTube videos you see of fantasy advice, who to trade for, like, it doesn't always apply. If the number 1 team has a trade for target, like, why would he give him up? He's not desperate. You're not in a position to leverage to get that player from him. So yeah, that's my advice. Hope it helps. I'm not an analyst or an expert, just love fantasy and love talking about fantasy. So subscribe, like, give me any tips, comments if you guys have any suggestions how to make the channel cool, or if you guys are interested in any specific topics. Let's talk. All right, guys.